I'll have to do like a solo pod or something, deep dive going into, what is the most important contributing factors, whether it's ADP or...
Blake opens it up. He's like, don't listen to anything those guys say. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 2 of the Signal Callers DFS Show. Today is Tuesday, August 5th. We've got a good one today. We're walking through some stacks, how we approach stacking, who our favorite stacks are, who our ugliest stacks are, etc. What's going on, boys? How are we feeling?
Feeling good, man. I am ramping up the draft pace with this week with preseason. Now that preseason's here, just trying to keep up with all the camp buzz and all the ADP swings. Feels kind of like a full-time job now, but I'm trying to stay on top of it. So let's go.
Yeah, this is my favorite time of year. So I'm ecstatic, right? Signing on Twitter just to see all the great takes, the bad takes, the camp highlights. The Caleb Williams throwing into a net and getting pissed off. So I'm loving it.
Sweet. Okay, let's go into the news from the week. We've got a bunch of injuries to update. So I'm just going to read through some tweets from at SportsMD Analysis. I'm just going to rapid fire through a bunch of these, and you guys can give us any takes that you have at the end of that. So he starts off with AJ Brown with a hamstring. His comment suggests low severity, very likely 100% by week 1. His hamstring history is not overly concerning, but a mild re-injury risk. Next, he goes to Matt Stafford. Very likely playing week 1. High concern for in-season re-aggravation. Next is Kenneth Walker with a foot. Comment suggests low concern. Prior soft tissue history elevates 2025 risk, but likely is unaffected by current injury. Khalil Shakir with the Bills. High ankle. 4 to 5 weeks reported. Typically see performance dip first 4 to 6 weeks back to about week 4 of the season. Next, we go to Jawan Jennings with the 49ers. His injury carries an average of 4 to 6 weeks. Most wide receivers would return by week 1, but re-aggravations carry very high re-injury risk. Now, Malik Neighbors, our boy, chronic toe issue raises risk compared to peer wide receivers that are going around him, but likely not heavily. Now we got Isaac Correndo with the 49ers. Comment suggests moderate severity shoulder. Diagnosis not reported. Classic 49ers. Most common would be an AC joint, which is low re-injury risk. Labrum, which is much higher re-injury risk. Next, we got the Colts. Michael Pittman with a groin. Likely low risk by week 1. Sitting raises concerns for setback. Najee Harris with the Chargers. Walking with a weighted vest, long way from practicing, but being active suggests clinical improvement. Suspect return over the next few weeks. So next we got the Chiefs' Isaiah Pacheco. Averages 94 yards per game with 0.7 TDs pre-injury in 2024. So the data suggests return to pre-injury form. Cam Skattebo, hamstring, which we talked about last week. Likely re-aggravation, high risk. Average 6 weeks, but severity TBD. In-season re-injury risk increases about 5% per preseason week missed. Okay, so I know that was a lot of injuries thrown at you. It's camp season. People are getting hurt left and right. Any of these stand out to you guys as concerns, changes how you're drafting anything?
Yeah, I guess I got all of those. The one that stood out to comment, like nothing's really scaring me from drafting Malik Neighbors at this point. Toe, shoulder, I just think that dude's going to be explosive this year still. I thought I saw somewhere that Ken Walker was back as a full go already, but I could have misclocked that. The Stafford one is a little concerning. I think McVay's been kind of downplaying it, and like I had been drafting Puka pretty confidently at the 105, 106 territory. I've now kind of started to shift into taking McCaffrey above him just because I don't know what's going on with Stafford, but and who knows with Najee, man. I don't know. We still haven't seen his eyes, so I don't know if he's got peripheral vision, but so yeah, those are kind of the ones that stick out to me, but I don't know what you got, Blake.
Yeah, as the world's number one Puka truther right now, at least based on my fees and drafting, right? The Stafford is a little bit worrying, but I kind of think this might be like Stafford's last ride anyway. At least second to last ride, and the guy's a freaking warrior, right? He's played through every injury, and he's got a better line this year. So I think I'm going to keep leaning into it, and hopefully Puka keeps falling a little bit. Najee, the clinical improvement, right? Whatever that means, you're not playing yet, Najee, with an eye injury. So I think the most interesting one here, though, is the Shakir and Pacheco. Shakir, like I've been kind of drafting more Kincaid lately. I just can't get Coleman based on my ranks and where he's going ADP. But Kincaid's always super interesting to me. We were drafting as a tight end 3 last year, and now he's somewhere around like 10. Yeah, so I'm taking that chance, right? I don't see many weapons on that offense at all. They're going to have to score somehow, especially if James Cook, holds out camp and maybe goes into the season or whatever. I always feel like when you hold out of camp, you get more injury prone going into the season. So Kincaid's a big target for me. But the Pacheco one, man, he came out the gate so hot last year. And then, when he got back, he clearly wasn't right. They weren't using him. They're giving like 5 touches a game, but they were also giving Hunt like 5 touches a game. So I don't know. All signs point to more of the same, a lot less usage there because the drumbeat's been steady from Mahomes, from Worthy, right, from Andy Reid. Get your hammies ready. We're going to be running down the field. And then you look at who they brought in, like Tyquan Thornton, right? It just got speed all the way around that team. So, yeah, I think they're going to be throwing it deep and then hitting Rashee, hitting Kelsey in space, like underneath. So I think, but it's a good defense. So, maybe some clock killing time there.
Yeah. All right. Now we got a couple important signings, I think, we want to touch on. The first one today that came across was Keenan Allen signed a 1-year, $8.25 million deal with the Chargers. And also Kyron Williams signed a new extension with the Rams. He's got some more guaranteed money. So you guys want to riff on that?
I'll jump in here first, Trey. Sorry. So the Keenan Allen one, 8.25 mil, it's a little bit. Keenan Allen, he's not going to be great, but the way I see it, he's going to be playing the slot, or at least that's where he's best at, and that's where Ladd's playing. So I have no clue how they're going to use him. I'm just staying away from Keenan Allen, to be honest. I'd much rather the upside of, Trey Harris, KLS, or even Quentin Johnston, right? Quentin Johnston put up a couple big games. So that's it on that. Kyron, the total money's not huge. He got, 11 mil guaranteed. 11 mil per year average, but the guarantee monies to me is kind of notable because he's at 23 guaranteed. CMC got 24. Granted, it's a couple years ago. Derrick Henry's at 24 guaranteed as well. And, this offseason, Chuba signed a new contract and he got 16. So I think it's a pretty good amount of the guaranteed money. And I think I've been off of Kyron Williams, just, scared by they keep drafting running backs, right? But I think kind of seeing that money gave me a little bit more confidence to start sprinkling in some more Kyron.
Yeah, I think with Keenan, it's now a little crowded. It's 8.25 is not insignificant money. Keandre Lambert-Smith has just looked good. Like he's looked really good. And so I don't know, and it does temper my excitement a little bit. The Trey Harris bags are heavy. But it's just another, the Herbert stacks become a little bit more back stackable. I was kind of anticipating this anyway, but it does kind of feel like, we had heard that he wanted to sign in LA. So it's kind of like just like an appease the player signing. He was effective still last year. I don't know. They got a lot of bodies in that receiver room. So, it does temper a little bit of excitement there. And then Kyron, my biggest takeaway there is I think this was the thing holding up the James Cook signing. I think James Cook's going to get a little bit more than that. So I'm expecting that to come in fairly soon now that the Kyron deal is inked. I don't know why Kyron was going at the 3-4 turn. Like, you go look at that dude's game log. He is really productive. People will knock him because he doesn't have the explosiveness or not. But,
yards per carry.
Right, yards per carry. They drafted Jarquez.
He has, no touchdowns outside the 20. or something like that, right?
Kyron Williams?
Whatever that tweet is, yeah.
Kyron Williams, the punt returner?
Yeah.
I do think he's
Classic.
going to creep back up to like the top of the third round now, though. So solid back if he fits
I remember
the
last year when we were drafting him, he was like the safest second round pick, or that's what it felt like, but it didn't feel good to click. Like, again, they had just drafted Corum.
Yeah.
There was a scare around him returning punts. People were freaked out. And
It's more the same this year.
all he did was repeat the success that he had the year before. Okay, let's move on to some preseason action. We had the Hall of Fame game last week. Any notable performances worth mentioning from the Hall of Fame game? Trey Lance back in the mix? Resurgence? I don't know.
I don't think he was bad, man. Like, you know what? I think a lot of teams, especially the Browns just signed Snoop Huntley today, right? The Saints, I think we're going to be freaking terrible with quarterback. You know, Trey Lance, he's still younger. He might be Bo Nix's age right now, right?
He's younger.
And he first round pedigree.
Younger. Let me check.
Yeah, I think he might be a year younger. I mean, just take a shot on quarterbacks. Franchise quarterbacks aren't easy to come by. This guy he had the tools. He's just young.
Trey Lance is the same age as Bo Nix.
Yeah,
they're both 25. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He's younger
right?
than Shuck.
They didn't have to burn a first round pick. Yeah, you don't have to burn a second round pick on a
Trey
shot.
Lance is younger than
overall.
Shuck.
It's terrible. But yeah, so good on you, Trey. I hope you keep balling, and I hope you come down to the Saints to alleviate our pains. But yeah, other than that, KLS, great game. And it was only 2 catches, right? So can't say much. But his 2 catches, he made the most of his opportunities. Don't really care about this output, to be honest, because a bunch of scrubs on the field. So I'll be watching to see if he gets playing time with the starters. And Kamani Vidal, yeah, you had a decent game. Sure. I don't think he'll be much of a factor this year, especially when Najee's back healthy.
I have no comments on Trey Lance. KLS looked good. Isaac Tesla looked good. Kamani Vidal burned me last year, so I'm avoiding him. Hey, but who's this year's Kamani Vidal?
I was going to say Tootin.
Lane. Don't you dare say Big 12.
Oh, it's Tootin. Dude. They're talking about LaKent Allen now. Taking third down back. Duties. Yeah, I'm out, man. I'm out of Tootin.
Okay, we got 16 preseason games between this Thursday, August 7th, and the Sunday. How much stock are you putting into these first preseason games? Any players that you're anticipating to watch the more of?
Go ahead, Trey.
Yeah, I'm not paying too much attention to the depth charts right now. Like the teams do the funny business with the or for the starters, so it's still just as ambiguous as we're all guessing in camp.
Looking at you, Colts.
Right. But I will say Travis Hunter named a starter at wide receiver and named a backup.
I loved Liam Cohen's comments.
You know what I mean? So
what did he say?
Yeah, he said 80% of the offensive snaps.
Nice.
He made him say he's going to be playing a lot, and he's like, we're just. He absolutely loves his offensive talent, so he's going to be on the field as much as he possibly can. You take him number 2 for a reason, right?
Right, yeah.
So as far as the other games, though, Thursday and Sunday, I think the beginning games are becoming a lot more popular. I've been seeing a lot of tweets, yesterday, today, like the Bengals, Cardinals, Panthers, Broncos, Raiders. A lot of those teams are saying they'll play their starters, whether it's the first quarter or whatever. So those are the games that I'll be watching, at least the ones that I listed there. And then, I'll be box score watching to see if, some starters pop up anywhere else, and then kind of watch that. Because that's the only reps that really matter to me, is if you're playing with a starter, unless you get 20 carries and you go for 200 yards, right? Michael, throwback to him when he was preseason darlings.
I do find it interesting because the NFL went to the 3 preseason games back in 2021, right? So this is the 4th year that we've only got 3. The old idea was that the 3rd preseason game was the dress rehearsal, right? Where the starters played the most. Now teams are kind of just, I feel like they're not treating the preseason the same as they used to. So it's kind of hard to decipher what, if anything, matters out of these games. I feel like sometimes it matters more for these guys that are fighting for the end of the roster, more so than like people who are fighting for depth chart towards the top. But I don't know, how do you guys, have y'all seen a difference between how the preseason was viewed 3 or 4 years ago versus how it is now?
Yeah, I think Blake touched on it. Like, it seems like there's a trend emerging where, like, most teams are going to try to get some starter reps in early, and then preserve guys going into the season. In years past, it's been guys ramping up. Starters play heavy minutes in like that third game or so. So it'll be interesting to watch how many teams follow that trend. But
Yeah, I think it's kind of an injury thing too. Like I mentioned the Raiders earlier. Pete Carroll's been known to always never play his guys in the preseason, and now he's saying, hey, that first quarter, maybe he's got a new offensive coordinator and all kinds of stuff to work out, but he's playing his starters now. So I think they're starting to push that up early, just in case somebody gets injured, tweaked, whatever. You still got a couple weeks. Whereas, like you said before, it used to be those last few games that are the only one that people watched. Just watch the starter reps. That's all that matters.
Yeah. You guys have any specific players that you're excited for?
You already know what I'm going to say, baby. Bill Krosky-Merritt. Listen, man, this dude.
Y'all love your RB4s.
Look, Kevin made some money 2 years ago on Kyron Williams.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And this dude, he has elite deceleration, elite balance, good contact avoidance, right? He's showing like a lot of short area burst. I mean, I feel like in my Twitter alerts, I'm getting a Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt tweet almost daily. Like, he's clearly like the camp MVP right now. Smooth runner. I'm more convinced now that he won't be a zero in the best ball streets, and that like the play with him is he could just eventually take the backfield from Brian Robinson.
Did you have any Brian Robinson? Like how high is he on your exposure list?
Not very, and I'm taking him less now because I want to take Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. People don't say he's a day 2 RB on talent alone, and he fell to the 7th mostly due to like the ineligibility stuff and the lack of tape this year. But I mean, he's just killing it in camp, man. So like he feels kind of like that Bucky Irving, Ray Davis kind of upside play, especially in best ball, that as the season goes on could get some run. And if there's an injury, obviously the contingent upside is super high. Eckler is a factor, but I like the profile. So that's a guy I'm going to be watching, because if he continues to trend up like he is in camp in these preseason games and breaks off a big run, I mean, he's already creeping into the 190s ADP wise. You let that happen, I mean, he's going to continue shooting up. So that's
like, it looks like you feel some type of way about that.
Yeah. So let me go ahead and caveat this by saying, in the 190s, like, take your shots, right? You get your guys that you like here. That's fantasy football's fun. It's supposed to be fun at the end of the day,
but
unless you're playing DFS.
AKA 230 plus to 190 is pretty significant.
Yeah, I mean, in the Millie Maker, right, where you have to beat a ton of teams, you have to be perfect. I agree, man. So Trey, I want you. Do you remember Christine Michael?
No.
I want you to go do. You don't exactly research Christine Michael. Go watch those preseason tapes. Go watch. Try to go to the Wayback Machine, right? And I don't know if I guess they had Twitter back then. Just go watch his highlights. Go watch his preseason games. The guy was absolutely he busted like a 40-yard run every preseason, right? It didn't translate to regular season, or he always got hurt. Just weird stuff happened. But you got Brian Robinson, who was great last year, right? Then you got Eckler, who was pretty good.
Was he?
He wasn't amazing. He was pretty good. He's getting up there in age now, but he's still one of the best third down backs in the league. He's just not as athletic as he used to be. And then, I can't think of his name. the RB3 there. They put like a second or third round, I think it was a second round tender on him as a restricted free agent. Like they like that guy, I think it's Chris Rodriguez. They like him a lot too. So once again, you're down to the RB4 who drafted in the 7th round. Look, next year, I guess I'm going to get crucified everywhere for saying this. This must be the hottest take on the internet right now. I'm out on Krosky Merritt, so it's just, he's an RB4. I think he's a good stash in Dynasty, great stash in Dynasty, actually. Let me go there, right? Because some of the highlights, like he's got burst. I'm all for it. Yeah. Brian Robinson's contract's going to be ending soon. Eckler's on the door, like on the way out. Dynasty stash all day. I'm off of him on best ball.
It's the ambiguous backfields, man. I'm telling you. No one really.
Not where you have a good starter. There's nothing ambiguous. Brian Robinson's a stud. Eckler's the known commodity.
A stud? Really? Brian Robinson?
He was playing really well.
Where's Robinson? Where's Robinson going? What's his ADP?
Like in the 90s, I think. Oh no, actually, he goes sometimes earlier than that.
He's at 29, I think.
What? No, Brian Robinson.
RB29. Sorry, RB29. Yeah, about 84.
He's a third rounder.
His current ADP is 81. He's risen. He used to go a little later than that, but he's going.
Yeah. Man.
That's a good little segue into the ADP temp check that we're going to do. We got 2 risers here. Trey, you want to kick it off?
Yeah. Ricky Pearsal. I was already drafting him earlier in the summer because of the way he finished last year. And he's one player that, like, I typically, as guys rise, I tend to fade. He's one player I'm still taking as he rises slightly. Look, he's got the first round capital. He's locked. He's looked like the most dominant wide receiver in 49ers camp. I think he had a practice. It was today or yesterday where Purdy went 11 for 11, in which Pearsal had caught 5 passes on 5 targets for chunk gains, all sorts of different routes, deep outs, middle of the field. So I think Purdy had comments the other day too, where he's expressed that he's building a connection with Pearsal. And look, you got the Ayuk uncertainty, the Jennings calf injury, and the contract drama there. But he's a former first round pick. He's a second year player stepping into lots of opportunity. One of the most efficient offenses, and he's got a skill set that just kind of fits with Shanahan's design. And he's pretty moderately priced. He's a moderately priced way to attach yourself to a top 5 scoring unit that has, a realistic path to multiple spike weeks. And he's got a lot of hidden contingent ceiling. So he's a guy that's rising. And even though he's rising, I'm still clicking. He could easily be the wide receiver 1 this year. We don't know when Ayuk's going to come back. The wide receiver 1 in San Francisco, but we don't know when Ayuk's going to come back and if this Jennings thing's going to linger. He's the guy I'm kind of honed in on outside of McCaffrey and Kittle.
Yeah.
And that 49ers offense.
Yeah. I love the Ricky Pearsal pick, right? Everything you've been saying, spot on. I think he's just super talented. The only knock really people had on him, he didn't catch many balls coming out of college, and he didn't, he was a little older prospect, right?
What was crazy is that Florida team, like Richardson and Pearsal came off of that team, and they didn't really have a ton of fanfare outside of Gainesville in college, and then all of a sudden here they are.
Well, it wasn't a good team, really, right? And I think that was the issue, is the team wasn't good. Right. Florida's always got some great athletes.
For sure.
But, so my favorite riser is Woody Marks, right? So, Trey, this isn't an ambiguous backfield that I buy into here, right? You don't know who the number 1 is. You don't know.
You're buying Woody Marks, but you're not buying Bill Crosby?
Yeah, you don't know who the running back 1 is, right? Mixon is out for who knows how long.
Blake saw that one camp video of Woody Marks catching that little out.
But Woody Marks is a terrible runner.
Dude, he doesn't need to run. Catcher. So is Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is like the least efficient runner ever. The only reason why he scored where he was is because of volume, right? So give me Woody Marks, who's going to catch 80 balls. That offensive line is terrible over there, right? So everybody's screwed. Let's be honest. Nobody's going to be efficient running in Houston. They have the worst offensive line, and they traded away Larry Tunsil to try to get better. So
he's fast.
Yeah, he's fast and he's got hands. Look, where's Woody Marks' ADP, right? I'm not taking him super early, but I'm going a lot of 0 RB builds here, and 5 catches a game gives you a pretty good floor. So that's my ADP temp check there. I don't think he's where he should be yet, or at least it's one of the biggest backfields that I'm leaning into.
I think he could potentially keep going up too if he has some good preseason performances.
Exactly.
I feel like he's one of those where people finally start, figuring out who he is. I feel like only the sickos, only the dynasty rookie drafters know who he really is.
The Chubb videos do not look great right now.
Yeah,
I will say, it's getting to the point where Bill Krosky-Merritt might flip Woody Marks. And look, I've been a Woody Marks drafter, but they just have to get activated Dameon Pierce off the pup, and he's a guy that's been productive there. And look, I can back you on the Woody Marks thing because there's a lot of negatives. Like obviously Joe Mixon, no one knows what the heck's going on. Chubb
looks bad. He had a terrible knee injury.
Right. A week ago, we were hoping they traded for Devin Singletary. That's not exciting. So you have to be a little bit in on Woody Marks then if all those other alternatives look bad.
I think you mentioned Dameon Pierce earlier, right? And they were saying how he's fit for his own scheme or whatever. He didn't work under Slowick, and this new scheme fits him. We'll see, but I'm still going to take Marks over him. I don't think I can click on Dameon Pierce.
I'm at the point where I'm taking Krosky-Merritt over Woody Marks, but that's just me.
Yeah,
I'm actually trying to win some money. I don't know what you're doing.
It sounds like you and the rest of the world. I'm the odd man out here.
Blake's the lone wolf on this.
This is a hill I will die on. He's not going to be a 0. You're right. He might get 1 or 2 catches or touches a game.
Okay, we touched on a couple risers. How about any fallers? Is anybody that's falling have your attention?
Yeah, man. This was a guy I was kind of out on for a while, but Qunshon Judkins is now falling. I did 2 drafts today, and I got him in 150. He's now gotten to a point where he's all right, I'll take the risk, right? Especially as an RB4. And it's worth noting, there's no real precedent for this. If a team doesn't, because he's unsigned, right? So if a team doesn't sign him before the NFL signing deadline, which is usually, I think it's mid-July in rookie, so we might be past that point, but he still can't play for another team, and they still retain his rights and up until the next draft.
Yeah, he would have to sit out the entire year.
At which point he can either re-enter the draft, or I guess sign with another team. I'm not exactly sure on that, but if they still haven't signed him by next draft, they lose their rights entirely. So, this was a early 2nd round pick. I doubt they would just give that up. And I think I saw the Browns owner or GM commented the other day that
I was just bringing that up.
Cautiously optimistic that they're still going to sign him.
Yeah.
So, at 150 as an RB4 that has super high upside, a guy I was drafting in the 50s, 60s early summer, I feel pretty good about. Especially if this, washes over innocent until proven guilty, right? I'm kind of in on that. This almost never happens for a high profile, early pick. So I pick 150. I'm in on that.
If he's your RB4 and he turns out to be a 0, it's a little bit more palatable than whether or not than if he's your RB1.
He's either a 0 or he's gonna be a smash. So at that price, right?
Yes. Well, so I think I'm with you on taking some shots on Judkins. My problem is I don't think this is going to be a good offense either. Joe Flacco's slated to start. I don't think they did much on the ground last year. I don't see that changing much this year. So I do think Sampson and Judkins are the backs to own here, or at least the backs I want to own. Jerome Ford, they kind of took him off.
They love him. They trust him.
Yeah, but they stopped playing him last year. For the most part, they went away from him. So I think they're kind of saying, hey, we're turning over a new leaf here in Cleveland. So let's go with our guys we drafted in the 2nd and 4th round. So I think Qunshon Judkins is a good shot. It's just I don't see a ton of ceiling.
I mean, I see all the ceiling in the world if he plays, right? Like, because where he was getting drafted before this news, like, look, Chubb had productive years for like a long time in Cleveland with a terrible line and a terrible offense. So they've always historically been a run-first offense.
So quick rapid fire here for you guys. Judkins or Tootin?
Tootin for me.
Judkins or Jaden Blue?
You got to answer too, Blake.
That one, out. I'm out.
You can't abstain. No, you're on the clock. These are the last 2 running backs left in the tier. Who you take?
All right. If we're at pick 150, I'll take Judkins for sure.
That's crazy.
Jaden Blue or Judkins?
I don't know, man. I'm still taking. I still think you have to be. You kind of have to look at how the NFL has dealt with these situations in the past, right? I mean, first of all, he's not even signed, so they have to figure that part out. And then there's always going to be that decision of whether or not the NFL is going to decide to hand out punishment this season. You never know. There's just so much uncertainty. And yeah, Jaden Blue is what, 3rd, 4th, maybe in the pecking order for Dallas. But
the way he's been killing it in camp lately,
right.
I'd probably take Jaden Blue.
We'll be talking about him as a big riser next week. By this time, I think. I think he
already is.
He's already rising right now. We didn't.
I mean, like
him.
who?
That's why I asked him. So, like, so Kevin, Judkins or Jaden Blue? It sounds like you're a Judkins guy here.
Oh no, I'm taking Jaden Blue. I mean, because Judkins can be a 0. I mean, he probably will. Judkins is more likely to be a 0 than to be anything at this point, right?
The risk, I think it's Blue because Blue's playing and he's not going to get cut. Like they're just going to roll with Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders. Like he's going to make the roster. And
he's going to be on the roster. There's a high likelihood that he could be playing significant snaps near the end of the year. Who even knows if Judkins is signed? Like, and this is kind of. I feel like this is kind of.
I think he will.
Kind of going into like talking about what we were talking about last week with Trey putting in so many bullets and having so many drafts. Like it's a lot easier for him to take that risk this deep into draft season. I'm not taking that risk, on at least on my rosters, just because I don't have that many. If Judkins is a 0 on mine, it's more. It hurts me more than it does Trey. So, I mean, not how highly Trey drafted him earlier in the year, but
this is under 100, right?
Yeah.
I guess Trey's still going to feel it regardless. But at this point, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I don't know. I still think I'm out. But like Trey said, that's at a certain point. There's a chance you take somebody regardless, right? We want to talk on Isaiah Likely as well. Trey, you listed him.
He's like, I think the ETR guys dropped him into the 180s because of this like injury, which like I don't know where they had him before, but it's a pretty significant drop. Where he was getting drafted prior to this injury, he would have had to play more than he did last year. And he probably would have had to play more than Mark Andrews for him to be worth that cost. So now, his cost is a little more palatable, especially in Lamar stacks. Like if you get Lamar early and I love stacking Lamar with like Zay Flowers but if you miss on that, and you miss on Andrews, because people love to snipe those guys, he's a guy that like you can now get in the 150s, 160s, and that price feels a lot better as like a tight end 2, tight end 3 that has potential for some spike weeks, and you're going to use those weeks from him. Like you remember the opener last year, we all thought like, what the heck? Like we were drafting.
It was like the first 2 weeks,
and I thought all my teams were dead. So you talk to some people, they think Mark Andrews is like an all pro, and I mean not Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely. So I like him.
Harbaugh said that.
Mm-hmm.
Harbaugh said he was going to be an all pro as early as this season.
Yeah.
Did he sign a new contract? I don't think so, right?
I don't think so. I think he was in line to though. Or
He
about
was,
to?
yeah, that's what the reports were saying he was supposed to, and the contract was supposed to be bigger than Ferguson's, I believe, which is a pretty good contract.
Yeah.
So
So he's my favorite stacking player for Lamar teams.
Look at these stats from Mark Andrews' first month last year. Fantasy points first week 3.4, second week 9.1, third week 0, fourth week 0. Week 5 against Cincy 9.5, and then that's when he started to turn it up. He had a bunch of double-digit games. So like all of his production came after week 5, and yeah, I remember the panic surrounding Mark Andrews last year. It was
he got in a car crash.
Yeah.
I think the injury like trends are happening longer, right? Like the recovery from an injury. Like yeah, the player's back, but the recovery's taking a lot longer.
Yeah. He's a fun person to add to your tight end room as like a tight end 2 with high upside. So
yeah, I think he's like the perfect tight end too, because he's going to throw up some games and 2 touchdowns. And to be honest, like I want parts of the Ravens, but I just piecemeal them because I think they're going to be so spread out, right? If it's not Derrick Henry, it can be anyone. As much as I love Zay Flowers,
yeah,
I think Rashad Bateman had 7 or 8 touchdowns last year.
Yeah, I think he did. Okay, let's rapid fire through this next section. We want to touch on some Twitter trends that we've been seeing. Are they FUD or are they real? The first one I want to bring up is sometimes I can't tell if this was a joke or not, but people were going after Omarion Hampton because he kicked a run to the outside instead of diving forward for 2 or 3 yards to get the first down. I don't know. People are going crazy. What do you guys? Did you guys see that?
Reggie Bush as Saints guys.
I was going to say that.
Like, he was running sideways and everyone starts panicking. Oh, he's not. He's afraid of the contact.
Well, they said that for a couple of years on Reggie. To be fair.
Yeah, but we won a Super Bowl with him. So.
Yeah. So are you FUD, dud? I mean, FUD, real?
I think this is FUD. I think that people are just itching for something.
Like Omarion Hampton's a stud, man.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think also like, I mean, was he maybe the highest profile guy to play? He only got what, like 2 touches in the game or something like that. Like,
yeah, and that was the second touch, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that this means anything. It was just something funny that popped off on Twitter. Again, people are just clamoring.
I think some people feel it.
Yeah, you think it's real from some people?
Yeah, it's definitely 1,000% real for some people. But yeah, I'm with y'all though. Like, I don't care. Good. I'm glad this mistake happened in the preseason game. Yeah. I'm glad it happened in the preseason game, and I hope they took him out because of this. Harbaugh took him aside. Hey, coaching opportunity, perfect. So let's keep going. I'm clicking. He's like the easiest 3rd round click for me.
I mean, 3 yards in a preseason game, like him not.
The DB made a great tackle there.
Yeah, like
that's how I feel about it.
If this little sideways run, whatever they're pointing to, pushes Omarion Hampton back to the 3-4 turn, cool.
Please, right? Yeah, for sure. We're gonna touch on this in a second. I'm all in on Chicago. Unfortunately, or fortunately, can't decide right now. It's one way or the other every day. What do y'all feel about the Caleb Williams camp tape so far? I mean, it's not been feeling good. The clips that you've seen. So I don't know. How do y'all feel?
Like, I'm conflicted because it's like on one hand, Roma Dunze is getting all this camp hype and someone's throwing those passes, but all the clips we see of Caleb Williams are like these memes of him not being able to throw a ball in the net from 10 yards out. So, I don't know. I think it's like selective a little bit. I mean, I do really love Ben Johnson. And so, I mean, and he's got a lot to prove. And I think he's motivated. So, look, my Bear stacks are pretty heavy too, so I need to see some positive play out of Caleb Williams this year, because he's just so easily stackable. Like, one of these Bears players are going to hit, whether it's Swift, Odunze, DJ Moore, Loveland. I love Luther Burden. He's my highest drafted player, as we pointed in episode 1. So I'm hoping he's good.
Yeah. I think he'll be good, but I need to temper expectations down a bit. And And I think it just got out of hand with Ben Johnson coming from the Lions and just like, oh, he's like the best OC in the league right now, blah, blah. Did you see that image of Ben Johnson the other day? It was he looked like the Affleck meme where he just got the cigarette, right? He's just like, oh, right. He looked like that, and I think that's because like Caleb Williams I don't think he's ever played in a pro style offense, right? Last year, Shane Waldron, I'm throwing that all out the window. That season didn't even count for him.
That was
right. So he's in like a real offense for the first time, and Ben Johnson is known to be like pretty strict about what he does. So I think it's just some growing pains, and I think it's going to start off really rough, actually, really rough. But the Bears put a lot of money in their offensive line, and that's going to be the biggest improvement. I think Caleb, as soon as he stops seeing ghosts, right, and starts trusting the reads and buying into the system a little bit, I think they're going to come out. But yeah, the drill that you saw, I think that's dumb, right? That's just people trying to paint a picture and help me build up some more Caleb Williams bags. That's all it is.
I don't think it's going to affect whether or not he starts or anything like that. So,
no.
This is this year. That's for sure.
So, okay, we want to touch on Tyreek as well.
This one's weird to me, man.
It was a quote about Achane, right? That he had.
It's been a lot more than that though. Like he walked off the field last year.
That was just the latest thing, right?
During the game, he quit on the team last year.
And then he tweeted, "I'm out."
Tua had the comment. Then he came out. The Achane quote's so weird, dude. Like, why open your mouth on that?
People like mocked it though, like because the video of their coach, it was like the tweets that you see were like, oh, it looks like Mike McDaniels is fed up with Tyreek, but he's actually like.
Because he had a presser talking
him
about
saying like, "Oh yeah, we were running that script this day in practice." Like, so I don't know. I think I'm saying FUD. Like it's Tyreek freaking Hill, man. Like this is the fastest dude in the NFL. We've seen it. He's been the wide receiver 1 multiple times. Like I don't think he's that old yet. Okay, Tua, like you're gonna play hardball and say he has to earn back the like. I don't know, man. Like I say that because my Tyreek bags are super heavy. Even like when he was falling to the 4th, I was like, "What?"
It's easiest.
What are people doing?
Nobody else in the 4th round is going to give you wide receiver 1 upside.
Right.
Why is like
it's so crazy to think
like the overall wide receiver?
It's so crazy to think of how far the Dolphins have fallen in public perception since 2 years ago.
But when you think about it, like when they are healthy, they are the most, arguably the most explosive, most fun offense.
Yeah. Tua led the league in passing.
You guys, 2 years ago. Y'all been nuts.
2 years ago.
What was that? 2 years ago when in that weekly DFS.
That was one of my. That was one of my
money.
That was one of my only DFS wins.
I think we both had 4-figure.
Yes, we did. We did win.
For that.
We did win on that week. Shout out Matt Collins, who brought it home for me.
I'm like worried about the offensive line, obviously, but like they're gonna be in a ton of negative game scripts, and like you got the cheetah, man. Like,
their defense is going to be atrocious,
terrible,
atrocious.
They have nothing, and they lost Johnny Smith. So like, I think that makes me more bullish on getting back to like just Tyreek, like quick slants and just getting him the ball out in space. So
I'm not away. I'm not down on Tyreek. I think all this weirdness just makes Waddle and Achane a little bit better for me, right? I think their bond with Tua is a little bit stronger, and I'm going that narrative that maybe you do piss the coach off a little bit. Achane's getting everything schemed to him, right? If last year with that O-line and without Tua is the worst Achane you can get, sign me up. He was like RB8 PPR or something.
Do y'all? I mean, Trey, you consume a ton of fantasy football DFS media. Do you feel like Miami is like just flying under the radar from I feel like not a lot of people are talking about them just in general anymore. Just obviously there's the analysts that have to talk about every team and stuff like that. But I feel like just from a public perception, you don't hear a ton about Miami just because of like, maybe it's like the lack of success in the playoffs, or just how bad last year went. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think like them trading Jonnu unnecessarily kind of made people wonder like, well, what's Miami doing? Like, because he was super productive last year, and then
Right.
shout out to our boy, our former Saint, their left tackle, retiring this year.
Yeah.
Tyron
So-
Armstead.
Teron Armstead, right?
Some respect on his name.
Yeah, of course. One of the Saints' goats on that freaking glory days of the Breeze run. So yeah, I think that combined with just like this weird, like Tyreek stuff, like even people are making like the fact that Tyreek hasn't raced, I show speed and all these people. Like, it's just weird, right? Like, so I'm not buying it. I think I do think they're kind of flying under the radar now because
Right.
people are scared. But it's like, again, it's Tyreek freaking Hill, like, And I'm in on Waddle this year too. Like, if they, if I lose, I lose. But I'm betting on those guys because they're two of the fastest guys. They got one of if not the best play designers in the NFL. I've never understood all off season long why Miami is just getting memed. But we know that when they're healthy, like, they are explosive, and that's the name of the game in best ball. You want spike weeks, and those are two dudes. That's an offense where you can get them every week.
Beyond that, I love the Dolphins because they're so concentrated. You know where the ball is going, right? And especially now that Johnny's gone.
Waddle.
Yeah.
That's the most concentrated offense in the NFL.
Hands down. Yeah. So I think to kind of wrap this up, it's fatigue, just TLDR fatigue, right?
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question here. When was the last time the Miami Dolphins won a playoff game?
Before we were born? No, I don't know.
Did they win a game that year? Where 2 years ago? Were they in the?
No,
they made it. They made the playoffs a couple times.
No, because remember,
right?
they had to play. They played KC in like below zero game. It was like an insanely cold game.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it's 25 years ago, December 30th, 2000. They defeated the Indianapolis Colts 23-17.
Sooner than the
Easy,
Colts.
dude.
Dude, I mean, the Cowboys have done better in the postseason, right? So that's why, right? It's fatigue, and it's like that. These guys, nobody's taking it seriously because they've never made any run. They bunch of smoke, right? No fire.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see kind of how the closing line on Tyreek and Waddle and HN ends up, but I think you got a sleeping giant when it comes to stacking those guys, just because of the success that people have had in the past with them.
And it's a pretty cheap stack to make when you consider the collective of Tyreek, Waddle, and how far from those two guys that Tua goes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you get one of them, you've got a stacking partner with a QB wide receiver stack that can nuke at any given week, and you can get two in the 140s, and that feels good. So, I think most of this is FUD, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the main topic, which is surprising. We're like 45 minutes in. We're just getting to the main topic. But the main topic we wanted to get to is stacking. So I want to touch on a couple of things before we talk about our favorite stacks. Or how high of a priority do you put stacking when you're heading into your drafts? Are you like immediately thinking it, whoever like you go with your first or second round pick? Are you trying to line those guys up? How do you handle getting sniped like right before you're completing a stack, like right when you're on the clock or something like that? I'll kind of let you guys go whichever way that you want with that.
Yeah, sure. So first things first, always know, your league, your platform, whatever you're doing. DraftKings, you get some bonuses, full PPR compared to underdog. I do all my action on DraftKings. So due to all those factors, third wide receiver, you get a good flex there, full PPR. Stacking is not super important to me because touchdowns aren't as important with that. So stacking is good and definitely encouraged, but I don't go out of my way to, especially if like super stacks or even triple stacks, things like that. I try really not to unless the team makes sense, like the Dolphins makes sense. It's such a concentrated offense. But, going into like the start of the draft, one thing I'll do is I'll go to the signalcallers.com and I'll look at that draft slot analytics, right? Okay. Hey, I got slot 6, 7. Who's kind of been going here? And you can also look at ADPs too for much more recent. But yeah, I usually try to plan it out depending on my first slot kind of determines everything. If I'm pick 1 through 4, I'm probably getting Jamar Chase, maybe CeeDee Lamb, Saquon, right? And going from there.
Are you including running backs in your stacks?
It depends on who it is, right? CMC, I can do that. I would do that. But usually, like for most running backs, it's a negative correlation, right, between your quarterback points and your running back points, because handoffs mean points for your running back and not points for your quarterback, because it takes away opportunities there. So that's kind of why you see like the defense, same team defense, same team running back stacks for normal DFS stuff. But for best ball, it doesn't really matter too much. If it's on a super great offense, like we mentioned how everybody scored a ton of touchdowns last year for the Ravens, go for it. You may not be getting points with Lamar and Henry, but they can both have 3 touchdowns in the same game. I kind of start by a draft slot and then start thinking about it from there. You always need to know who those your week 17 bring backs are, and those late stacking opportunities like Drake May and others like that are real good. What about you, Trey?
I think it's a bigger priority for me, right? You got to remember in best ball, like you don't set your lineup, right? So your highest scores each week auto slot in. So if you've got a QB, right, fundamentally that has a big game, odds are that one or more pass catchers he's carrying with him, they also smashed, right? So, without stacking, you're relying on uncorrelated ceiling games across random teams, and it's harder to predict. And so stacking, again, fundamentally condenses your upside into fewer game environments, right? Which frees your other roster spots for other correlated bets.
It's less things that you have to get right.
Less things you have to get right, exactly. It increases your chances to have multiple players peak at the same time, which is how you win single week advancement rounds, especially in DK best ball, right? In a game where you're chasing a 1 in 800K outcome, correlation is one of the biggest things, the biggest edges you can control in a draft room, right? So, and then you also got to think about playoff leverage. DK best ball, those rounds, weeks 15 to 17, those are single week high variance tournaments. Now, uncorrelated is a way to get different, I guess. I mean, sometimes you see like in those weekly milli makers that a team that hits the nuts is totally uncorrelated, but that's not that's not a smart bet, right? So you win by hitting a spike week when it matters most, and stacking kind of maximizes the chance that multiple players erupt together in the same high scoring game. So it's super high for me. In fact, like the guy I draft in the first round often informs like how I'm approaching building out that team, right? Like if I'm taking CeeDee Lamb, I'm already earmarking Dak, right? I'm looking at where his ADP is, and I'm going to try to, if I have to reach for him, I'll get him, right? Because I want that. Like if I'm going to win, what do you win with you win? Well, if CD is the wide receiver 1 again, I need Dak because he's going to be throwing the ball to him, right? So I think from like just fundamental roster construction, I think it's the most important thing aside from like just smart positional allocation, and it's something that you can control. But there's so many things that go into this, but I think it's super important. To your point, I do include RBs in that.
I do think that stacking is like less of a industry term, more like quote unquote casuals know what stacking is.
It's become more mainstream.
Right.
Sure.
So I don't necessarily think that it's like a surefire way to find edge, but like you said, if you do it smartly and if you go like an extra step or two down the road where you bring back a guy, or you look at week 16 stacks, like you've talked about, Trey, that's stuff that the majority of casuals that are just coming in August to draft aren't doing, right? They're kind of just like drafting their guys.
Yeah, so let me clarify my point here a little bit more. Maybe hammer it home. I agree stacking is beneficial, right? I don't think though that it is the most important thing to consider in a draft, right? ADP is always the most important thing for me to consider in a draft. And a good example to bring home, why I don't think stacking is the biggest thing. Last year, I think my top stack was Kyler and Trey McBride, right? What was it? Millie Maker playoff start? It's like week 15, right?
Mm-hmm.
So week 15, Kyler Murray, his stats are, 224 passing yards, no touchdowns, right? 10-point week, terrible. But Trey McBride, 9 catches, 87 yards for 17.7 points. Like that's a good game, especially for a tight end. That's a really good game, So it's with this full PPR. And if he would have hit the yardage bonus, he would have got plus 3 points, for getting 100 yards, things like that.
Also, it's 4-point touchdowns for QBs. So I think that brings down the importance as well.
Exactly, right? So like that's my point. I think stacking's good because if you have a Burrow, a Chase that hits for 3 touchdowns and 250 yards, right? That you need that to win that week. However, I'm not going out of my way to seriously stack too much. Because you can catch a Trey McBride, solo and be completely okay,
Yeah. So. I think the rule of thumb is the higher the draft capital, the less likely you should lean further into the stack. But when you think of, like all the money is in week 17.
Never thought about that.
So in week 17, right, if you've got if that game's a shootout and you've got Chase McBride and Burrow, you've got multiple correlated pieces, right? So I tend to want like the top end talent of the stack. Like what are you likely to win over the course of the season?
You stack your stars is what you're saying. Your stars,
are getting
the ball.
Jermaine Burton. Like if I get Burrow naked and I try to backsack him with Jermaine Burton, I'm not going to win with that. Right?
That feels bad.
That feels bad. And so like if I get Chase, I want Burrow because that's how Chase is.
Right.
Even Jamar Chase. Just throwing him the ball.
Well, let's talk about some of our most drafted stacks. So we have a few different categories: favorite, most drafted, some that you need more of, and which ones that you have that feel the worst. Trey, do you want to start off with yours?
I think my favorite this year is the Cowboys super stack.
They won it for a lot of people 2 years ago.
Yeah,
they were the ones to have at the back of the year.
Yeah, and I think CD is. I think he even said he wants to remind people that he's the best. And I just love George Pickens this year. And it's an pretty easy stack to make when you look at where those guys go. I think the Cowboys could be like the Bengals of this year in terms of that super stack.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one that I think is fun that I've been trying to get more of. My most drafted stack is the Super Bowl champion Eagles. I just like, even if it's Saquon and Hurts, because it's like we know what Saquon can do, and Hurts can just like take over that whole offense with his rushing ability, the tush push. And the thing about the Eagles is like I think they lost a couple of pieces on their line. They lost some pieces in their defense, so presumably the defense should be a little bit worse. I think there could be some passing.
They just got a good young cornerback from the Raiders.
That's true.
And that trade.
They never trade with Howie.
CD Deuce, they lost a couple guys, right? So, like, I mean, and Saquon had like a historic, just outlier year. So I do expect some passing game regression, and I think they're going to air it out, and that makes me bullish on AJ Brown, especially at this year's cost. AJ Brown was like the 108, 107 last year. And sometimes you can get him at the back of the second. And that guy, like I said in episode 1, is a top 5 receiver in the league.
I feel the same way about AJ Brown that Blake feels about Drake London.
Yeah.
Over the history of his career,
yeah.
I have done whatever I could to get AJ Brown in any league that I'm in.
He's
What do they say? If there's
and-
10,000 Drake London fans, I'm one of them.
Yes.
If there's one Drake London fan, I'm one of them.
if there's no AJ Brown fans, then that must mean that I'm dead.
Yeah.
But that includes trading away the future 101 for an AJ Brown in a league. But yeah.
Yeah, and then I put a bow on it. I guess the need more of the Denver Broncos, mainly because I don't have enough of them, and Bo Nix is like super backstackable, maybe more than any other quarterback, because Ingram, Mims, Bryant, Vele, Franklin, all those dudes, even Dobbins go after him. Most of these super stacks, like, you got to get the guys ahead of the quarterback. But if you get Bo, he's got lots of outs behind his ADP. So, and I think Sean Payton, obviously, we love Sean.
Schemer.
All of us being New Orleans boys. And then my have too much of feels uncomfortable is we already touched on it, but the Bears. Because one of these Bears is going to hit, but all of them can't hit.
They're easy to backstack too, right? Like, I mean, Caleb doesn't go late enough to where, like,
it's not even backstack because you get DJ Moore in third, fourth round.
But if you miss out on DJ Moore, you can backstack him with Burden, Loveland. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think his backstackableness is waning as Loveland comes back and he's starting to rise and Burden's starting to rise. Like, there used to be a time where it's like, if you miss out on DJ Moore or Rome Odunze, you could still just take Caleb and it would piss the Rome Odunze and the DJ Moore drafter off.
Yeah.
But you could pretty easily get Loveland and Burden and feel good about it. Sometimes I even take Komet in the 20th because I don't think he's dead. But those are my 4. Cowboys are my fun favorite. Eagles are my most drafted. Broncos I need more of. And the have too much of is the Bears, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I don't want to pile too much on and say the same things, but Cowboys, I completely agree, right? I think Dak's going as QB 13 right now, and I have his ceiling as high as, he can easily be a top 5, maybe top 3 quarterback this year. 5,000 yards is in his range of outcomes. And he's one of the very few quarterbacks who I firmly believe. And they have no running game, and their defense isn't going to be good.
If you look at his history, if he doesn't get hurt, he's
amazing.
He's quarterback 3, quarterback 8, quarterback 2, quarterback 10, quarterback 7. I mean, the years that he gets hurt are the years that he falls. But if he plays a full season, which, granted,
it's been few and far in between, right?
Right, but he's a good bet.
Yeah, so I think that offense is going to score points. I think they're going to be good again. There's too many weapons not to, and they have no running game, right? And I said I wasn't going to pile on Trey's too much, right? But, the Eagles, Jalen Hurts is like the cheapest he's ever been, and the offense is better than it's, just as good as last year. They lost absolutely nothing except for Jason Kelsey. Right?
Oh, hey, man. Put some respect on Kellen Moore's name.
Yeah.
Put some respect on our guy's name.
Okay, they were good before Kellen Moore. They have the best offensive line in the league, right?
And the thing about the Eagles is, like, you can easily get a Week 17 bring back between Coleman, Kincaid.
Yeah, and they have a great Week 17.
Our boy, and you can throw Terrace Marshall in. Pick 20.
You can do that. That is a thing. That is a button you can click.
If you are a betting person,
Elijah Moore, anyone?
Yeah. So, now that we talked about all that, after I said I wouldn't, I'll say the Chiefs right now for me. I do have them stacked the most. It's kind of similar vein to Hurts. Mahomes is the cheapest he's ever been as a starter. Mm-hmm. So I talked about it earlier. They're signing nothing but 4-2 guys. They told everybody, hey, we're going deep. Hopefully the Rasheed suspension comes out and it's not that bad. Because I think they're going to sling, and Mahomes is going to be out to prove something this year. So I really like the Chiefs, top to bottom. I think Hollywood Brown's underrated. If he could just stay healthy, stay on the field, I think he's going to have a great season. He's so good, right? I'm never doubting. He's the most talented quarterback in the league, and he even gives you a little rushing for. And everything that I'm seeing is that they're absolutely loving their new left tackle, Jeffrey Simmons, right? Jay Simmons, and that's been his biggest thing. So if he's healthy, if he's able to stand upright, and they keep not running the ball until they get ahead and let their defense do its thing. All in on Mahomes at what QB? Where's he at?
QB6 at the 4 elite, and then it's
QB6.
Yeah,
so
4 elites Hurts, and then him. Yeah, it's time for the Chiefs to get back to being the Chiefs, man. Let's get away from this like Kareem Hunt stuff and just start throwing the ball again. Kevin, what you got?
My favorites have been the Jags. I'm just a big Liam Cohen guy. I really
You've been
wanted
a Jags fan for years. Let the truth come out.
Unfortunately, yeah, I just love these bad teams. I
can save them.
A sucker. Yes, I can save them. I'm a sucker for these bad teams. I don't know. I really wanted Liam Cohen to be the Saints head coach, which that was never going to happen. But I just think he's super creative. And I think there are a ton of weapons on that offense. It's super easy to stack too, especially if you draft at the end of the round. You can get Brian Thomas in the first. Sometimes you can push him to the second. We're LSU guys, so we're always going to be biased towards them. And then Lawrence, do you have the ADPs pulled up? What's Lawrence going right now? Like the 10th or the 9th?
I think he's at 169.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence has a top 10 finish. I know, like, his career arc has been very Daniel Jones-like. Unfortunately, he gets
their stats are identical. Did you see that?
Yeah, they are almost. I think Daniel Jones has some better stats. He has a top 10 finish under his belt. I don't think he's ever had the weapons that he has this year. You know, Travis Hunter is just. He was a number 2 pick for the reason. Like I'm not gonna say they mortgaged their future, but they almost did to go up and get this dude. They have a plan for him. You can easily stack BTJ, Lawrence, Hunter. You can throw our guy Tootin in at the back of these stacks as well. You have a lot of outs to finish that stack. Brenton Strange is going in like extremely late, like almost forgotten about. So yeah, they're the ones that I gravitate towards the most. The Pats, I love drafting the Pats just because you could do a Drake May naked and then follow it up with Pop Douglas later on, Hunter Henry if you're into that sort of thing. But my favorite is to go Travion Henderson and then follow him up with Drake May. I love Drake May. He's on my favorite dynasty team right now. Big fan of his potential. I love the addition of Vrabel to kind of just bring the potential out from that team. I know it's still maybe lacking in talent in certain spots. Wide receivers are maybe a little iffy, but he gets Steph Diggs this year. You could easily throw Diggs into these stacks as well. Depends on how bullish you are on his injury or return from injury. He looks great in all the camp footage. We've been talking about camp footage a lot. He looks great in all that. So yeah, my most stacked teams are the ones that I can kind of fall into, right? I put a little bit less emphasis on stacking those like premium guys that Trey does, maybe like the guys that you initially draft in the first or second round. Although BTJ is always going in the first, so I'm usually trying to pair them up. But yeah, and then I've been loving the 49ers too, if you can get your hands on CMC, but you don't necessarily need to. Kittle. I feel like the 49ers are pretty concentrated offense as
Something
well.
You need to do, concentrate right
Yes, now? That's right. I'm falling off. But yeah, you can get Pearsal late. You can fill in that Kittle stack with Purdy. And yeah, I'm just a fan of doing these back stackable stacks that you have outs for, right? So, which leads me to my most drafted, which for better or worse is the Panthers and the Saints. Again, I'm usually taking these like as my third QBs. I'm never like going into a draft saying, I got to build this one around Bryce Young, right? Although Bryce Young was the reason I made it to that final. He had that 40-point week 16 game a few years ago. So, he's one that you can easily backstack too. I mean, he has a ton of guys that go at the end of the draft. Coker, Jatavian Sanders, super late tight end, can be your third tight end. Thielen.
I like Leggett.
Renfro, maybe? Anybody? I don't know. So yeah, and Ted McMillan is my most drafted player. So that's a no-brainer to get the Panthers in there as a stack and pair Ted with Bryce every time I take him. We're sickos. The Saints are always easily stacked. I mean, Olave goes late. Shaheed goes late. We love Shaheed, right? Shaheed is like It's one of the easiest clicks in the whole draft. Like
I can't stop clicking them. Like
Yeah.
I'll have teams that I just have no need for them, and I'm just like, I want some speed in my team.
Yeah, man. I mean, look at what he did last year in the month of games. I mean, he was outpacing so many guys, and he got
breaking fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, he goes.
There's a couple drafts. I have like 6 or 7 receivers, and he's just on the board. I'm just like, I can't not take him.
Yeah, it's just easy. I mean, he's a great player to root for, and he's on our favorite team. So obviously, it's easy to pick. And
he's been falling a little bit too. Which is weird. And I'm like,
I think it has to do with like just the Shuck news, man, and that hurts because we mentioned on the last episode I have 50% Tyler Shuck.
I thought you were going to say we were excited for Shuck. I was never.
Pour one out for those bags. 50%. Tyler Shuck. Like the Saints are my most drafted and my most uncomfortable. I do still think that Shuck is going to get some play, and he has to. That's
why he's still the guy getting drafted to complete my stat.
You can't draft him where they took him over guys like Mason Taylor, like Arroyo, guys that the Saints needed, right? They needed tight end help. Mason Taylor, premier tight end coming out of college. LSU guy right down the road. They passed him up for Tyler Shuck, which I don't know, man. I like to think of myself as being optimistic, an optimistic person. But this dude is testing me, putting that to the limits, right? So
gonna see some preseason games this weekend now. So
that's true. We'll see what he does in the preseason. I'm not super thrilled. The reason he is on so many teams is just because I want to take a third QB. We talked about this last week. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I want to take a third QB, and he's like the last starter potentially available on the board, and you can easily stack him with Jawan Johnson on the back end, which that doesn't feel good either. None of this feels good. But if you just want to fill out these rosters, that's kind of the place that I fall into. And then the Bears, I felt a lot better about them like a week ago.
They'll be fine. They'll be fine.
I do think that they're going to be fine.
It's going to start off rocky.
Yeah.
You just got to hope that hole they dig in the beginnings.
Yeah. So, those are the most uncomfortable for me right now. But, that's kind of where my stacks are.
Yeah,
I love all your favorites. The Jags, Pats. I love Drake May.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be getting as much Travis Hunter as I can to close out draft season.
I think he could potentially do something crazy in the preseason that just like skyrockets his ADP.
Yeah, I think so early. This was a take I had. I wrote down. Early summer, Travis Hunter was going at the 3-4 turn. Like he was going super high, and I think he can get back there especially if he does something. The way DraftKings ADP responds to this news and preseason, like I'm trying to get him as much as I can at this 50s, 60s price because I think he's going to skyrocket back up.
Yeah, I think I'll be racking up a couple drafts this weekend, probably starting some of the higher end drafts that I'll be doing, just slow drafts at least for the higher end ones, because I want to try to be ahead of this news, right? So.
What was the quote that you said, Blake, that they came out and said that he's going to get 80% of plays?
Yeah, I was Liam Collins something along those lines. He's going to get 80%, but the guy was just ear to ear grinning the whole time saying these quotes. So I was drafting Travis Hunter, like Trey said, in the 4th round, early in the season. And I actually shied away from it and started going 4th and 5th. And 6th, I could start to click them, but, I just haven't gotten there. But
we did.
Now it's an easy smash.
We did that $100 draft like a month ago, and I think he was in the 5th. I got him at the back of the 5th.
Usually rookies fall as the summer goes on. He's one that like started high, fell, and now is going to skyrocket back up. And it's like he's such a unique like player case. I mean, he's fun, man. Like especially as like a wide receiver 4, 5, like what? You got this spike week guy that just in any week, I mean, can hit your lineup. Like he's a best ball darling, man. Like,
yeah. And again, I mean, even if you wanted to stack them late, I mean, you could start it with Travis Hunter and easily get Trevor Lawrence, Brenton Strange, if you wanted to double stack
Johnny
it.
Brown, yeah.
The week 17 bring back is the Colts. They're super easy to back stack.
Yeah, to your point, I love the Jags Week 17 matchup. I think the Colts defense is trash.
Yep.
And
Josh Downs, Pittman, A.D. Mitchell in the 20th. I mean, they got a ton of Tyler Warren. If you want to take him as a tight end 2 on your team. And you guys got anything else that we want to touch on before we wrap it up?
No, just I need to stop waiting so long. I usually try to push it one round too long to get a stack or two. And I think we were doing a draft the other day. I had Pickens and CD, and guess what?
Yeah,
that gets taken right under my feet. So
Dak and Baker, like, people are not afraid to take those dudes naked. Like, so those are the ones I will not push.
I think that it's important though too, because if you're like setting up these stacks, like I think JJ Zacharyson mentioned it on his pod with Levitan, but they were talking about how like the draft rooms owe you nothing, right? Just because like you set these stacks up and like you're drafting quote unquote smart, you're not entitled to these dudes. So like if you got to reach a half a round, or if you're at the end of a turn, but Dak goes like a round and a half later, you might just have to take him, like, and just eat the ADP value. Like, if that is important for you to like complete those stacks.
Right. Because again, you're locking in that correlation. So it's important.
I feel like that is like the one place where I don't necessarily pay attention to ADP. If I'm like, I just got to get this dude on my team, I feel a lot better.
You should. It's the one place you should like draft ahead of the ADP is to complete your stack.
Right.
Within reason. ADP is the number.
I just always feel a lot better about getting that dude on my team than and reaching a little bit versus trying to push it and he goes one spot before me. Right. Like that feels way worse than losing a round and a half of ADP potentially. So
I'll have to do like a solo pod or something, deep dive going into what is the most important contributing factors, whether it's ADP or
Blake opens it up. He's like, don't listen to anything those guys say.
Really?
All right, man. Anything else that you guys want to kind of touch on? I think that this will kind of wrap up this week's episode.
Next week, live draft?
Yeah, I think we're going to try to do a live draft next week. Maybe just a milli. I've been trying to get into like $100 or $33 like fast draft, and they're hard to like. They don't fill up as quickly.
So slow, I feel.
I think maybe they might start filling up now that we're like in August.
Yeah, I've seen the 33s and 59s start to fill up the fast now.
Dude, I was trying to get into a 33 fast last week, one night, and I entered into it, and I forgot to withdraw, and then like the next morning, I was driving around and I got a notification saying that my draft is about to start, and I'm like, shit, is this a slow or a fast? Because I was doing them both to try to see which lobby, and I forgot it was a fast. So I'm like on the road, I'm trying to do things. I'm trying to like
your phone.
30-second clocks. So
shout out DraftKings for adding the draft board view.
Yes, that definitely helps. Doesn't make it super
now we
easy.
Need some new data. Update our data.
Yeah, update the data.
Do another release so we can update the Signal Caller.
Yeah, so with that last shout out, if you happen to check it out, check out the signalcallers.com based on episode 1, you'll see that there's been a couple tweaks with colors and things like that now. So everything should be a little bit more consistent. If you have any comments you want to see, I think, one thing we're talking about week 17 bringbacks and stuff like that, need to add in, if it's home, away, need to find a place to get some pace stats or something, or maybe we put some game scores up, what we feel is the best for that. And if you have any other comments, please DM us, shoot us product improvement, product complaints, whatever you got, fire it over.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you guys soon, and take care.